I'm Jack, and I run East Tennessee Harm Reduction. I've been uh, pretty heavily involved in harm reduction and mutual aid for the last decade. I do a lot of work with communities who feel like they can't safely access healthcare systems. I provide a lot of first aid, a lot of wellness checks. I provide rapid HIV and Hep C testing for people. I provide emergency contraceptives as well as fentanyl test strips so they can test their drugs themselves and have a bit more control over, what they're putting into their bodies. The communities that I feel most drawn to work with are really just any community that is oppressed and not able to access care, but I specifically spend a lot of time working with unhoused communities. I do a lot of work at Blackstock, which is one of our larger encampments. To date, in the last year and a half or so, I've reversed over 300 opiate overdoses, and I've given out over $250,000 worth of naloxone. They just really let me know what they need, and then I help them get it. So I take a lot of the direction from unhoused and marginalized community members about their own care, because I don't want to project what I think they need onto their experience because they know best. Harm reduction is something that Black and Indigenous communities have been doing for forever, and mutual aid is something that has come out of the global South, and it's just how communities have taken care of each other for forever, and the government locally just doesn't care. Councilwoman Amelia Parker, for example, just keeps pushing so hard for the city council to try and pass some sort of ordinance where they won't be raiding the camps, and across the board everyone's just nah, we're gonna raid the camps, because they're prioritizing how Knoxville appears to developers rather than the humans that call this home, because they're our neighbors. They're not just, I just can't even fathom the disconnect some of these government officials have for actual lives being lost on the streets. We had 9 people die over the winter who froze to death. And I just don't see how they don't care more about that and wouldn't try and fix it. I get a lot of really nasty messages about how I'm enabling people and how I'm directly responsible for people dying from their drug use. I understand the deep anger and the deep hurt that's caused by drug use. I've lost myself 19 friends to opiate overdoses since I was probably 16, and so I really understand their misplaced fear. But I think one thing I think people need to understand is that folks are going to do drugs. People need clean tools to use drugs with because they're going to do it anyway. And a lot of the diseases and lethality around drug use is coming from people not having safe access to supplies. I think a lot of people think, it's poor people, it's unhoused people, it's these people hanging out at gas stations. My friends would never, shoot up heroin or whatever, but I've been straight up delivering, packs of needles to mega mansions this past year. It is everyone. I just want to encourage everyone to find something that brings you joy and do that thing and see how it can integrate into a community project to keep each other safe and to lift each other up and empower our neighbors to remain autonomous in what happens to our future and what happens to our bodies.